Um, let's see, where's the chat? Can I see everything? Here's the chat. I'm also going to pull it up on my phone because the screen is just a little bit too far away for me to follow along. Thank you all for being here. I saw that you were already waiting before the video started. That is awesome. Let's see. Where is the video? Sugaridoo live video. There we go. Thank you. Terry says she's just popping in to say hi. She can't stay. Thank you for all those birthday wishes. That means a lot. It is such a fun way to celebrate my birthday, to launch something that I've worked on for so long. It's awesome to be able to share that today. Hi Connie, hi Katharina, Carol, Jenny is here. Hi Julie and Karina and Karen. Hi there, welcome to all of you. I'm a tiny bit nervous, so if I start rambling a lot, then I'm sorry. Yeah, so what we're going to do today, we're going to chat for, I don't know, a maximum of 30 minutes because then the book will launch. The pre-sale will start. So what we're going to do is I'm going to reveal the cover of the book. I don't have the real book here yet. That is being printed, but I do have the cover. And I have 3 fabulous quilts lined up over here that I'm going to show you. And then I will talk a little bit about the kits that come with the quilts. So what you can expect to find on the web shop in a second. So again, welcome to all of you. So happy that you are here. A lot more quilters are popping in. Well, at least I expect most of you to be quilters when you're here. Thank you so much for joining the video from all over the world. That is awesome. So, okay. Let's start with the cover reveal. I think that's a good thing to start with. So I think I'm going to do it like this. I think it's in the screen for everybody. So then it won't focus on my face. So there we go. Should we do a countdown? 3, 2, 1. There we go. That is Sugaridoo Happy Notes. This is the book that is launching today. It is happy and fun. It's all about finding joy. So the subtitle is A Quilt Filled with Joy. So this is what the book is going to look like. It's not going to be this big, slightly smaller, but there we have it. That is the cover of the book. So the quilt you see on here is the cover quilt. And I'm just going to place this. I'm going to place this here. I'm going to place this aside and this as well, so that we can bring in the quilt. So that's the main thing, I guess, from today. And I hope I can fit it all in the screen. Let me shove you back a little bit, I think. Oh well, there we have the table. So let's bring in the quilt. This is something I've been working on for 3 years. Well, not working on. The idea started 3 years ago, and then, well, I started working on it, and it took, all in all, it took 3 years to finish. But there we have it. This is the sampler quilt. The sampler quilt. I'm just going to take you down and with me so that I try to show it all in one piece. There we have a little planty friend. That is the sampler quilt. That's it. That is a quilt filled with 20 different quilt blocks. And yeah, a really happy, colorful rainbow palette. So that's it. That is the quilt. I'm so excited that I'm able to share it with you. Also happy that it's back in the studio because it was with the photographer for a few weeks. But now it's back and I'm really happy that I can share it with you. So the idea behind the quilt, maybe that's fun to share a little bit about that, is that this quilt is filled with blocks that represent happy for me in kind of a way, and I think for many of us. So we have brushes over here, creativity, when you're a sewer, sewing machine, a quilter, then you know that creativity can spark joy. Presents, everybody loves presents. It's just nice to surprise someone with something once in a while. A phone. Well, there's a phone on there because it's wonderful and it sparks joy to stay connected to friends and family. So everything in the block represents something that has to do with joy and happiness. So that is why it's called Sugaridoo Happy Notes. Yes, so that is the first quilt from the book, the main quilt. All the projects in the book are based on these blocks. So let me see how we'll do this. I think I'll discuss the kit for this quilt first. I think that's a nice order to do things. So this quilt is made with a half-yard bundle. So I have a half-yard bundle in these rainbow colors, and with this you can make the whole quilt. And you have to add a backing fabric for that. And in the shop I have put 3 different backings. So I have Kona Bone, which is the soft backing that I have used here. So it's not complete white, it's a little bit softer. And then I have selected the middle one, that's called Dove. That's a very light gray. And the bottom one, that is called Graphite. So those are available as an add-on to the bundle. So when you find the bundle in the shop, then you can choose if you want a backing. Maybe you already have a backing. For this big quilt you need 5.5 meters. So that's, I think, somewhere around 6 yards. Maybe you have that, so when you want to make it, you only need a half-meter bundle. And there's another option. So this quilt is pretty big, but there's another option for a smaller size. That is about, what was it, 40 by 55, something like that. That's I think it's officially called a crib size quilt. And you can make that one. That one also has all the blocks, but then it's just a little bit smaller. You can make that with a fat quarter bundle, and you will need a little bit less than 3 meters for that. So it's 3 yards and it's 2.75 meters of background fabric. And that is also available when you see the bundle in the shop. You can choose half a yard, fat quarter bundle, and then select if you want background fabric with it. So one other thing you might see in that listing as well is fabric for the extras. And I wanted to point that out to explain what it is. So that is this fabric, and this is in the details. So this is in here and in the letter over here. So in the little details, you will have this gray and white sassafras lane fabric. So that you can add this as an extra. Yeah, that's in there as well. So that is about the kit for this quilt. And I got some questions about a quilt along. To confirm that, yes, there is going to be a quilt along, and we are making this quilt. You don't have to work with these fabrics exactly, but if you want to, now they're available. And we're going to make the sampler quilt. So the big sampler quilt or the smaller sampler quilt. And that quilt along is going to start at the end of the year. And I think it will be a year-long project because it's such a huge quilt, all foundation paper piecing. So I think when we spread that out over a year, we will have a wonderful project to work on together. Yeah, so that's going to happen at the end of the year. So I guess it's going to start around October. Yes. Let's bring in the other 2 quilts, shall we? Yes. Okay, I'm going to grab them. There we go. Here we have two other quilts. And this one is about the same size as the sampler that you saw just there. This one is a special one in the book because it is traditionally pieced. It is not paper pieced. So what I did is I blew up one of the blocks in the sample quilt and made it into a traditionally pieced quilt. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, there's the top of the quilt. And there is the bottom. Yeah, there's the bottom of the quilt. So that is the size. So it has happy, happy, happy in there with one color, accent color. And I think it has a really modern look, and those bright accents make the happy word pop. So yeah, it's a fun one. And we also made kits for this. There are 3 color options. We have this one. So that is what you see over here. Then we have this one with this fabric as an accent. So then this is a kind of a yellowy orange fabric with the record player detail that fits really well with the gray fabric. So that is a different option. And then we have, I don't have it at hand here, but it has a little bit this idea. So it's a pink on pink. So if you like really sweet, a sweet quilt, a really pinkish quilt, then this is the other option. The exact colors are in the listing in the shop. Yeah, so 3 color options. A teal and a orange one and a pink one. Yeah, and it's a fun one. It is, I think it is beginner friendly. The only thing that could be challenging is that it's big, but the piecing itself is really doable because the letters are big. So you don't work with fiddly tiny pieces. So yeah, I think this is a confident beginner quilt. And a fun one as well to do with straight line quilting, because I hope it shows well. Here you see all those straight line quilting. I explain in the book how I did that and what lines to follow. And I think it gives a very cool, modern-y look to the quilt. So that is quilt number 2. This is called the Happy Quilt. Yeah, a special product in the book, but I really love it. And then the final quilt I want to share with you today is another supersized block from the quilt over here. Let me show you the smaller one first. So that is this block. It is the camera, and the camera is also over here. And I supersized it to get this one. Let me find a pin, then I can put it up. There we go. That is the camera quilt. And the special thing about this quilt, I guess, is that it's perfect for practicing and getting more confident with ruler work. Because the block is really blown up, you have quite large pattern pieces or fabric pieces. So that is really inviting to go into more detail with the quilting. Let me see if I can bring you a little bit closer. There we go. So I think you will be able to see the quilting a little bit better. So on here I did quilting with the lollipop ruler, and on here some free motion quilting, and here I played with the lines of the flesh. So a lot of fun things happening there quilting wise, and because it's almost 40 by 40 inches, so it's a really manageable size quilt. I think that really makes it a great quilt to do ruler work quilting on. And yeah, there's a lot of room for creativity in here. So yeah, for this we also made a kit. There we go. And with all the kits you can also order batting and backing. The backing for the camera quilt is included in the listing, and the backing for the two bigger quilts are in a separate listing, so there you can pick your own backing if you're interested. Yeah, so I'm just going to put this back here. That is the book. That's the book. That is the quilt. Yeah, I'm just going to check the comments to see what's happening in there. A lot of happy birthdays. Thank you. Oh yeah, Connie says, I love the overall circle quilting. So that is on this one. Haven't shared that. So this one has a overall quilted pattern. And that is done with quilting with circle rulers. And I chose for a overall pattern here because it really blends all the blocks together. In the book I discuss a few different types of quilting for a sampler like this, and this is one of the ideas that you could follow. And for this I used the Every Circle Ruler set by Amanda Murphy. Let me get it. That's this one. So it has 5 different sized circle rulers, and you can play with that. The bigger circles I filled in with smaller ones to make it a little bit more dense, but I really think it has a fun bubbly effect on the quilt. And yeah, it was really doable to quilt such a big quilt with rulers, because the pattern doesn't have to be too neat. When you do, for example, a clamshell, then you want all those points to match. But this one, you can go a little bit crazy, and when the circles overlap a little bit, that's all fine. So yeah, I think this is a really doable overall quilt pattern, which looks awesome, and you can do by yourself on a regular sewing machine. Yeah, thank you for pointing the circles out, Connie. Stephanie says, what an amazing design wall. Yeah, it's really awesome. We attached it to the ceiling, so there I have sliders, and this works in 2 ways, because it also blocks the sun from the fabric shelves that I have over here, so it's also a protection in at the same time. Yeah, so a lot of happy birthdays. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think a good thing to point out again, I also shared that a little bit in the information last week, is that the shipping costs are way down on my website right now during the pre-sale for the book, to make it affordable for people from all over the world to order the book. So even if you're in the US or in Australia or in Canada, then you will pay €10 for shipping for only the book. And when you buy a book with a kit or a book with any supplies from the webshop, then it will be €15 for shipping. So you can click on the website. We now have 2 currencies there, so you can switch between euro and dollar. I don't have all the other currencies on there yet, but that helps maybe at least a little bit to find your currency or have a better idea how much it is. But yeah, so the shipping costs are down, and if you're in Europe, then you pay even less for shipping. Yeah, so then it can be sent to all of you from all over the world. Yes, so yeah, let's see. Is there something I am forgetting? Do you have any questions, things you want to know about the quilt? or about the book. I think a lot of messages that you're ready for a new quilt along and ready for the book. If you're just popping in, this is the cover of the book. Happy notes, a quilt filled with joy. And it's going to be filled with 136 pages. So it's quite a book, and almost half of that will be patterns, foundation paper piecing patterns in true scale. And there was a question on if it was spiral bound, but it's not. I have found something else, and that is a special binding way where the book falls completely flat, or almost completely flat, without damaging the spine of the book. So that is going to be a feature of the book, because it's lovely to have a flat surface if you want to make a photocopy or if you want to trace a pattern with foundation paper piecing. That's really useful. So you don't have the spiral in the center, but you can have it completely flat. Yeah. Connie says, ordering from Newfoundland. How cool is this? That at the end of the year, we will be again sewing together the same quilt with people from all over the world. I really love how this community works. Simply Me asks, do you think the big quilt is manageable for beginners? Well, that's a good question. And I think it is. If you're scared about the quilting from such a big quilt, it's always possible to quilt it in a few parts. So this quilt, when you assemble it, it comes in 3 parts, so you can quilt it in smaller parts. If you're worried about the amount of work that you have to make a big amount of blocks, then you could opt for the smaller sampler. So that is a little bit of smaller size. It's easier to quilt, and it's more manageable if you feel like this is a little bit daunting to take on such a big project. But technique-wise, I think it's doable. There are, for example, blocks like where we have the cups. Yeah, for example, this one, this is a coffee cup that I explain in the introduction of the book. So where I explain the technique, we're going to make this one. And I think those T-marks are really nice and easy small blocks to start practicing with. And once you get to know the technique, it doesn't matter at the end how big your block is going to be, because every step of the technique will be the same, no matter if you're making a cup like this or if you're making a whole sewing machine like that. You can start with simpler blocks and build your way up. So I think it's a great way to practice your foundation paper piecing, because the more you do it, the easier it will be to get your head around the idea. And there are simple blocks to start with. For example, also the star blocks is a little bit easier just to do. So yeah, I think if you're up for a challenge and want to commit to a longer period of time to a quilt, yes, then for sure it is a beginner-friendly quilt. But just take in mind that it will take you a while to make the whole quilt. Carol says, is a large quilt appropriate for motherly experienced paper piecer? Yes. So I think that's the same answer as I just explained. The technique isn't more difficult for a smaller block or a bigger block. So yeah, if you start with the smaller blocks, then you can build up to the bigger ones. Homemaker says, do we need to print anything, or does the book have paper pieces? Well, it's not English paper piecing, so you don't have the templates that you have, but the book has all the patterns in there true to size. So you don't need to scale anything, you don't need to necessarily print or copy anything. Depending on the paper that you're working on, if you're working on tea bag paper or normal printing paper, you can just trace the patterns from the book and then make the quilt. Or you can use freezer paper, which I also love, and that you can also place on the book and trace and then make your blocks. And the ebook is the same. So when you order the ebook, it's a little bit cheaper than a normal book, and then you can print it off yourself. And the only difference between the normal book, so the paperback, and the ebook is that the paperback has a big folded pattern sheet in the back for for the camera quilt and for a different quilt as well. So this one is also true to size in the paperback book in a big foldable sheet. So you don't have to assemble the pattern for that. It's already in the correct size in there. Steffi says, not finding your website. Is it not live yet? No, it's going to live. It's going to go live in 5 minutes. So you can go to sugaridoo.com/happynotes, and there you will find all the information. That's also why I'm going to finish off the live in a second, so I can keep an eye if everything is going smoothly on the website. Margaret says, is the book on pre-sale right now? Almost. A few more minutes. Oh, Star, thank you for sharing. I made a 1, 2, 3 as a beginner and was totally fine with your tutorials. Thank you. Yeah, so I think the foundation paper piecing on the 1, 2, 3 was kind of basic and comparable with a coffee mug like this due to the amount of small pieces, or the tree is quite big. So I think some of these blocks will be a little bit more fiddly or a little bit more challenging because they have more pieces, but the technique will stay the same no matter how many pieces a block has. Christy says, is the ebook a PDF file? Yes, it is a PDF file, and you can take that to your local print shop or print it out on demand. So when you want to make the phone block, you just print off the phone block. That's the nice thing about the PDF as well. Yeah, so Eileen says a link to the pre-orders not live. Oh, there is what is it? It's 3 more minutes. So I am going to say goodbye over here and hop onto my laptop to make sure that everything is going smoothly. But the website will pop up in just a few minutes. And yeah, I am looking forward to packing your orders and sending out those books. Oh, there's another question. Is the book included with kits, or do I need to order separately? You can order separately, or you can go to a listing for a kit and then just select add the book. I think that will be clear when you see it. So you have to press the add the book with your order when you select a kit. So yeah, well, I'll be here behind my computer. So if you have any questions, just send them over to info@sugaridoo.com, and then let's see, and have a wonderful day. And I can't wait to start quilting this quilt together. Okay, there we go. Bye. Thank you so much for joining. And see you soon. Bye.